Joining us now for our second big close-up is Virginia Gubernatorial candidate and current Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears. It's so great to talk to you, Lieutenant Governor, and I know you've been out on the campaign trail all day long, making your final pitch to voters. We still has you behind a little bit, but what is your internal polling, or better yet, what have you been hearing on the ground as you've been campaigning? Do you think that you could win this one?
But of course we're going to win. We have the common sense ideas. Abigail Spanberger is for nonsense. Look, we're going to win this when we're looking at the real polls, the polls that really matter. What we're finding is that the Republicans are showing up at, 80%, 90%, whereas the Democrats, either they're not showing up at all, which is why you saw that they brought out Barack Obama in a place that they assumed that folks would turn out. They don't have enthusiasm. They don't have momentum because none of the things that my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, says make sense. She wants men in locker rooms with our young girls. She wants to tax us. She says she's going to increase our taxes. She's going to kill jobs. And then, of course, we know she's not going to keep us safe because she's soft on crime. All of that is important to the people of Virginia.
So, Lieutenant Governor, Northern Virginia, I live there. I lived in Alexandria. I understand the Beltway. Highway 1 there is kind of a state of its own. It's its own type of people. A lot of them are D.C. folks that are living there because they enjoy enough freedom but don't want to vote for it. Then you've got, Richmond, some places, and then you got the rest of Virginia that's very red. What is the inroad? What is the issue that isn't partisan, that you can reach those Northern Virginians with, that also tie back to your platform and what you believe in?
So, I mean, it's all of the above. It's everything that I've just told you about. It's the cost of energy, which my opponent says she's going to get rid of oil and gas immediately if she were to be elected governor. And then what do we do, Abigail? Of course, she has no solution. She wants us to be like California. Well, maybe she ought to go run in California because they have energy problems. We don't need that here. These people, these Democrats, they make problems and then they ride in on their horse to save us. We don't need that saving. And by the way, they have divisive politics. They're fighting the Civil War all the time, and all it's doing is pitting us against each other again so that these Democrats can ride in and save us. We don't need them. We need to be able to work with each other. We need to be able to create the jobs to make sure everybody's safe, et cetera, et cetera. This is not hard. Abigail is wrong for Virginia.
Lieutenant Governor, you've also leaned into cultural issues, pointing out specifically that Abigail Spanberger would support keeping men in women's spaces across the state. And that's a policy position that voters across the country soundly rejected last November. So what's your message to Virginians who are rightly concerned about that issue, especially if Spanberger gets her way on it?
Well, the thing is that the media, the legacy media, likes to help Abigail, and it's unfortunate because you assume that the press will be fair. This is my shocked face. They're not fair, and instead of saying that she voted for the policy, again, to not have private spaces for our girls, for women, that we don't have opportunities for Title IX, women, have sports to themselves. No, she voted against all that, and then she voted to keep our borders open. She voted, of course, to be soft on crime, to keep those who are criminals and illegally here. Why would we want that? We just cannot afford this woman, Abigail. She is not right for Virginia, and she's going to grow government. I'm trying to grow jobs. I'm trying to grow businesses. She doesn't know anything about that. She was never here when we have all the successes that we have, $140 billion worth of investment still waiting to come to Virginia. And she's going to drive all that away. She's going to force people to join unions. That's more money out of your pocket. We just cannot afford Abigail. Maybe she, again, can go to California. I understand they have a governor's race. They have an opening for her there because she believes all that nonsense.
Lieutenant Governor Sears, it's Mark Thiessen. So you have a lot of federal workers in Northern Virginia who are being affected by this government shutdown. Abigail Spanberger voted for the Inflation Reduction Act to set the deadline that the Democrats are shutting down the government over right now for the expiration of these health care subsidies. Have you challenged her as to whether she regrets her vote? And what has she done to press the Democrats to open up the federal government for all the Virginia workers who are losing their paychecks and being hurt by this shutdown?
You know, if I could see her, maybe I could ask her that question. This is the way we talk nowadays because she isn't showing up to anything. She barely showed up to the debate. Did you see the debate? You know, she had no answer. She was silent half of the time. And, you know, these were serious, real-life questions that we were asking her. And it's the same thing happening with the federal workers and their shutdown. These are serious things. These people, the federal workers, they need their jobs. They have bills to pay. And their people, they need their SNAP food benefits. What are these Democrats doing? They're playing politics, you see. They're waiting out the election, and it's all for their own glory. My God, where did we get these kind of politicians from, these Democrats? On your back, they're causing suffering, and then they're saying it's Republicans that have done it, when more than 270 Republicans voted to keep the federal government open. But you know how we know that the Democrats are running scared now? It's because the over 800,000 government union workers said it is time for a clean CR. Well, that's what we as Republicans have been saying. Clean CR. This is not hard. Let's get the government open. We only need, what, 5 Democrats to come over and say, yes, we will reopen the government so that people won't suffer. We can't find them. We can't find them. They're playing politics with the people of America's lives.
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.